Welcome back, everybody. This is our last show of 2025. And I remember there have been certain years where you just look back on the year and you're like, oh no, I don't want it to end. What a beautiful year. Not this one. This one's a flip the page, don't look back. For me. Personally, things have been great. I have lots of positive things to reflect on this year. We'll talk more about that in the bonus show. Click the join button below to get that. We're all going to change our lives in 2026. Everything is going to be great. Just believe it. That's the fun part of New Year's Eve is you get to delude yourself into believing just by the number 2026, everything will be different. I will warn you, though, for the current administration in power, I don't know if they're going to have a New Year's resolution of being normal or not crazy, or stopping all the blunders, which is the topic of this this segment. I tickled myself so much in preparation for the show thinking of this line right here. Ready? And now, so the guys have already heard it. Hear it now. You can use this one for free. The Trump administration must have... The Trump administration must have a foot fetish. Why? Because they keep putting their foot in their mouth. Is it feet in their mouth? I always get confused. Their footsies in their mouthsies. And here's the latest example. Cole loves this one. He said, please say that on the show. Please. It's my favorite joke ever. Here is Attorney General Pam Bondi announcing what she thought was a big achievement of the administration she's in, right? The Biden administration was a disaster. They were terrible when it came to drug overdoses. We got things under control. That's her argument. Let's see, though, why she deleted this post. First, to read it, since day one, she writes, the Trump administration and this Department of Justice have been fighting to end the drug epidemic in our country. President Trump closed the border. DOJ agents have seized hundreds of millions of potentially lethal fentanyl doses. We are aggressively prosecuting drug traffickers and cartel leaders, which is literally not true, something we've reviewed with how much their immigration enforcement has actually taken away from the ability to prosecute these traffickers. But then she says, these are the results. And she's referencing what comes next, which we'll get to. Elections have consequences. Electing President Trump and enforcing the law is saving American lives. Now, regardless of the administration, number one, it's just the case that even a broken clock, right, is right a couple times, give or take, a day. And so it's not that nothing good will happen under the Trump administration. And if good things happen, I'm going to say, good, yay. I still want good things to happen, even if I think they're on net going to be bad. But let's see what these are the results means, because she puts a chart below. And you can see it seems to illustrate that in the last year of what's being visualized, there was a huge plummet in the drug overdose death rates. But then look a little longer. Oh, wait, that last year is between 2024 and 2025. So that would be the last year of Biden's term.
It's Joe Biden.
So did you just credit the Biden administration, who was a disaster, with this historic plummet in the drug overdose death rates? And that's why she deleted it. Which is weird because that's still an interesting thing to post. Hey, progress was made. We still have out of control levels of drug overdose deaths. Still need tons of progress to be made. But you can step away from your partisanship once in a while to go, hey, there was some progress made. Now let's continue it. But then Pam Bondi deletes post after getting busted lying for Trump. The Attorney General tried to pass off Trump's predecessor's work as his own. And meanwhile, Biden's like, what the hell?
And you'll never believe where Joe Biden was spotted. Spoiler alert, he's on vacation.
What else is he supposed to be doing? I don't understand. They do that still. He's probably on the beach. Yeah, he's an 83-year-old retiree. Think about it that way. Midas Touch, just in AG Pam Bondi deletes a post touting a chart as proof of the Trump administration's success in reducing drug overdoses after being informed the data actually reflected the Biden administration's record. So kind of embarrassing. Just deleting it without a correction is a little bit wacky. But on a similar note, I saw this reporting. I do want you to know about it because it's another positive thing. Sometimes positive things happen in a very dark world, and we should talk about those and get some hope from them. But what's not positive about it is how dishonest the supporters of Trump are being about these figures. So I'm going to show you the latest on crime rates. But first, please do click the subscribe button. We've been making some progress. When we started putting up this chart showing how many people who watch regularly are unsubscribed, it was at like 60%, right? And we've gotten all the way to like 50-50. So now half of the regular viewers in the last 7 days are unsubscribed. Click the subscribe button if you appreciate what we do. So here's some reporting on 2025 crime rates.
We're seeing across the board drops in every type of reported crime, which happened in 2024 and we're seeing again in 2025. The Real-Time Crime Index, which is a sample of 550 or so agencies covering about a third of the country's population and about 55 to 60-ish% of the murders that occur each year. Based on that sample, murders down almost 20% this year compared to last. So even taking a conservative view, let's say it's 17%, 16%, you're still looking at the largest one-year drops ever recorded in 2025.
So naturally, and look, this is good. This is good. The number of homicides nationwide is expected to be the lowest since the FBI began keeping such records in 1960. Yay. Doesn't mean crimes aren't happening. There's still crimes, but a lot of progress. For example, one recently, a Florida man was arrested for allegedly committing an armed robbery at a meat market, wearing nothing but a mask. He robbed a meat market with his meat out. That's what happened. It's what happened. Nobody got hurt, luckily. But that's it. I feel like there should be little, like you get a little bit of time off your sentence if you do something entertaining enough. Like it's still extremely dangerous, terrible, go to prison. But like he literally went into a store to rob it with just a mask, but everything else exposed, which is a little bit smart because that would throw me off. If I were going to try to like defend my store, I'd be a little thrown off with someone coming in completely naked. So there's still crimes, but less. But what's annoying is, if you watch the show for a while, I felt like I was screaming into an abyss about a very underreported story, which was the second half of Biden's administration. You saw this huge progress being made on crime, huge plummets in violent crime rates and homicide rates, and it would just not really be discussed much. And then MAGA would say, well, those are just totally meaningless statistics because people aren't reporting crimes anymore. We could debunk that, but they say it. Or they're fudging the numbers. But what about these other analyses that back it up? No. And now that it's happening under Trump's term, and I'll give you the context of how this is a continuation of a trend, it's all because of Trump. And even outlets play into this. Non-pro-Trump outlets play into this weird thing we do where when something good economically or crime-wise would happen under Biden, it would be, well, this thing is happening. No mention of Biden. Whenever something good happens under Trump, it's like, Trump achieves XYZ. This one says homicides drop at record rate in Trump's first year back in office. Good. But wasn't that happening before he got into office? U.S. poised to see, this is from December of 2024, so the end of Biden's term, dramatic drop in homicides for third straight year. Where's the mention of Biden? Now, these are two different outlets, but it just illustrates a point that definitely is a double standard. With Trump, it's this photo of him with the thumbs up, and it feels like you're hearing Trump did this. But under Biden, here's another outlet, U.S. crime rates dropped in 2024. New FBI report shows. Not in Biden's last year in office. And then they say it's an accelerated pace of these rate decreases. Okay. Good. But back to to December 2024, available crime statistics from U.S. law enforcement agencies, the year is expected to end with a nearly 16% drop in homicides nationwide and a 3.3% decline in overall violent crime. Then you go back to 2023, it was a 13%. So it went from 13%, at least in the numbers that were outlined in this, they could be slightly adjusted as you get more data, but 13% in 2023, 16% in 2024, and then he said nearly 20% in 2025. That sounds like a trend. It sounds like homicide rates were decreasing and accelerating in how fast they were decreasing going into Trump's term. Never taken seriously by MAGA when we would show those stats at the end of Biden's. But now that trend is continuing and maybe even
artificial
accelerating.
intelligence continues to be a main focus
What's
for the
happening?
government, including President-elect Donald Trump.
What's
Earlier
happening?
this week, he said he wants the U.S. to be at the forefront of this technology.
From
And it
where?
comes as Silicon Valley's biggest CEO.
What just happened? That was crazy. They don't want me to say the truth. They completely waved it off. Do y'all remember this from my Jubilee appearance? I'll play this clip from Instagram.
Historically under Biden.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you drive up here this morning? Did you drive up here
Yeah,
this morning?
it was fine. It was great.
It was fine. Do you
but-
see the graffiti? Do you see the trash? Do you see the people?
Do we agree on
sleeping?
that we should at least look at crime stats, not just, oh, I saw someone, homeless person. Like, let's look at stats.
No.
Crime
Yeah.
drop.
No, not when it's Biden, let's not look at stats. But when it's Trump, let's look at stats and let's ignore the stats from right before he got into office to credit him with this historic trend. Even though, remember, the trend was at the end of Trump's term, we saw this huge spike because of pandemic conditions, maybe mishandling. Then Biden got that, under Biden, that was gotten under control. It's very complicated. It's not just because of the president, but to speak in the terms they're speaking in. And then we saw this huge plummet, and that plummet was accelerating, and then that continued into Trump's term. But then you have JD Vance and all these people posting, see, enforcing the law works. But you didn't say that when it was Biden. And we knew this. I remember saying at the end of Biden's term, any of these positive trends, with all the problems that remained, there were some positive trends, they're just going to be instantly assumed to be Trump achievements. We've seen Trump's Department of Transportation taking credit for infrastructure projects that were in Biden's infrastructure bill that they opposed. Economic indicators that are just what was handed to Trump, he says it's because of him. Whenever it's good, whenever it's bad, go ahead
The
and play.
good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
That's Trump's voice, but obviously a little changed the octave. But that is a real clip of him. You would think it's not. That's a real clip of him saying the good parts are me, the bad parts are Biden. And he does the same thing with crime, he does the same thing with everything. So whether it be on overdose figures or crime, it's really difficult to have substantive conversations about how do we learn from the progress and the failures to implement better solutions when almost everyone's just going to be looking through a lens that makes their side or the leaders they like look better. And that's just such a particularly egregious example. I do want us to all be happy and try to understand why we've seen these positive developments when it comes to crime. But I refuse to do it in a false context. And that's what they're trying to set up, which is that time sometimes started on January 20th, 2025. And sometimes it started in Biden's term, depending on how you can twist that and tweak it to benefit Trump. And I know that everyone does that to a certain extent, but they do it particularly egregiously.